Hey y'all, praise, honor, and glory to the Most High God. So, I want to make a video in reference to the Jezebel spirit. You know, everyone, I made some videos in the past about the Jezebel spirit. I post them in the description settings. Ask that you actually listen to the message for those of you you get caught up in. Anywho, just listen to the messages, y'all. I'll leave the videos in the description settings. I wanted to speak of a specific tactic when it comes down to the Jezebel spirit. Now, something I want you all to keep in mind in the book of Revelation, where it talks about to come out of her. As you know, we have to come out the world. This is why we have to be born again. Because when we're not born again, we still have ties to the Jezebel spirit in this world, guys, in some area, which is why we have to resist the devil, submit to God, he will flee. James 4:7, therefore submit yourself to God, resist the devil, and he will flee. So until we really come to Christ, and we're, still areas that we need to die the self in, it still ties to the Jezebel spirit, y'all. Something that a lot of you may not agree with, and that's okay. You don't have to agree with it, you can take it back to the Lord. As I said, before coming to Christ, it's still tied to the Jezebel spirit. So either you had that spirit or you have that spirit, y'all. It's involved with witchcraft. As you know, this world is full of a lot of witchcraft. It's full of a lot of rebellion. When you read the book of Revelation, it talked about how the serpent, the devil, deceived the whole world. He deceived the whole world through a lot of witchcraft, guys. He knows how the mind works. This is why we have to be transformed through the renewing of the mind. As you know, Jezebel's on a global scale. It's witchcraft everywhere, guys. People want a power. People want to control. I did make a video in the past about Jezebel on a global scale, y'all. I believe I put that on private. I took it down. Point being, it's on a global scale. So it's prominent out here, everyone. So that's why before coming to Christ, we have to keep dying to self in all areas. So in some area that you may not be dead to self in, it's like that spirit still has ties. It still has a door opening where it can come in and wreak havoc, which is why you got to keep fighting against it. You know how the word speaks of need to crucify the flesh, because we are at war with our flesh. We fighting with our flesh on a consistent basis, everyone, because the flesh really tied down to the Jezebel spirit because of the lust of the flesh. This is why when we die to self in each area and we're submitting to God, that spirit has no power. So it's really like self-examination for us all, y'all, because until we keep dying in every area, we're going to have to keep battling that spirit in some way, shape, or form. There are some of you talked about having spiritual spouses that is tied to the Jezebel spirit. I spoke about my experiences, y'all, about the spiritual spouses. I had 3 of them, y'all, and I'll post the videos in the description settings for you. There is a tactic I want to expose when it comes to the Jezebel spirit, and it works with, the spirit likes to work with people unknowingly. It likes to use its target without the target even knowing that it's being used by a Jezebel spirit. It's like a plot of the Jezebel spirit. Some of you may say the plot of the religious spirit, because Jezebel is a religious individual, y'all. She had a lot of false prophets and stuff within the word. So here's what I've noticed with the spirit. I'm speaking of what the Lord has taught me based on my personal experience of dealing with the spirit, y'all. Whether the spirit could have been trying to work through me, whether that spirit could have been trying to work through someone else, y'all, and trying to get to me. So with this spirit, as I said, it likes to work with people unknowingly. It tries to keep you blind to some things that could be going on within your life, and it tries to use you unknowingly, y'all. Spiritual blindness, and that's another video, out of all honesty. But what it does is, it likes to pull you in. So here's what like with people, and here's a tactic that occurred within the past. I believe this happened like over a year or two ago, however long. There's an individual who they had the desire to get close to me, y'all. And this is how the Jezebel spirit works, because the individual didn't know, and I wasn't even aware at the time. The individual is trying to get close, and that's a sign. I'll post a video in the description settings of the video, guys, about edification regarding obsessive stalker spirits. A lot of people don't even know how these spirits work. It is tied down to the Jezebel spirit. The individual is trying to get close to me. And what happened was that, the enemy will show you things too. Just how the Lord can show you things, the enemy will also show you things too, because he knows what you're going to do. He knows how you're going to react. He knows how to bait you to bait someone else. So what occurred was, the enemy, has ways of revealing things. He will take partial truth and he will twist it and he will manipulate it. So the enemy will try to take part truth to something that you could be dealing with or what you could be struggling with and twist it and manipulate it to make the situation more worse than what it already is. So with this individual, they was trying to get close. They saw certain things that I could have been dealing with. And what happened was the enemy found the way to work his way in, because he planted a seed of envy. That spirit feeds off envy, y'all. So if you find yourself trying to get close to a person, or you really and truly deeply admiring a person, all of a sudden you find yourself having envy rising up in you, it begins to manifest. The enemy already got a foothold on you, and then he tries to plant anger. He tries to do something in which is going to manifest in you and cause you to go and attack someone else. So that person that you could be envying, if you're yielding to that spirit is going to come after you to try to go after the individual, y'all. And if that person who you going after is not careful, they're not on guard, they can very well yield to the Jezebel spirit too and cause damage to you. And then you are unknowingly looking like, what the heck is going on? What is this? You know, I pray you all understood, took heed to what I'm saying. So the Jezebel spirit will unknowingly use someone against you. And if you are not on guard, the Jezebel spirit will unknowingly use you against someone else, y'all. All out of ignorance, all out of yielding to the spirit, all out of not submitting to God. This is why you do have to be careful, y'all. If you see someone trying to get too close to you too fast, too quick, it's always good to back and just let the Lord reveal to you a person's intentions, because sometimes the person's intentions may not even be bad while they may get close to you. They may actually have the right intention wanting to get close because they just want to be your friend and things. But if they are not on guard and that door is open and the enemy's able to plant some seed of envy, usually as a lack of not knowing oneself in Christ, a lack of an identity issue, that the enemy takes that and he runs with it. He tries to build up anger. He tries to build up resentment. He tries to build up something in which he can use to latch on to that person to use against you. And you, knowing that, have to be careful when you're dealing with people, because sometimes people are being used by the Jezebel spirit in ignorance. But based on how you react to things will also expose you, because you have to keep in mind, we can't control the actions of the individuals, but we can only control ourselves. So if someone is yielded to the Jezebel spirit and you find yourself yielded to the Jezebel spirit, you are exposing yourself for being yielded to a Jezebel spirit, because we are not supposed to be on that defensive side of yielded to the spirit. We're supposed to submit to God, y'all. So it's like a tactic that exposes both individuals. It exposes both parties, whether you're consciously aware of it or not. The person unknowingly being used, that does not excuse you for your actions and how you handle things, everyone. So this is why we have to pray for people. This is why we have to be careful when dealing with people. This is why we have to evaluate the people within our day-to-day lives, y'all, or just evaluating people who we may have in our circle, period, and evaluating yourself and really knowing how these spirits work. This is why Ephesians 6 said we wrestle not against flesh and blood. We have to fully understand the battle that's going on with the spirit and how these spirits get down, because they work so slow and subtle. This is why we have to have that type of discipline, to where we are disciplined, to where we're not yielding to the Jezebel spirit, y'all, because when if you're not disciplined and you yield into the Jezebel spirit, of course, you're going to keep causing damage to everyone who comes across your path. At some point, you have to build up to that discipline and putting that spirit in its place to where it's not going to affect you. And then at some point in time, it's going to come a point in time to where you're going to have to die to self in that area. So you won't even have to fight in that area, because you're dead to self. The Lord came, he died to take that from us, guys. The fight is already won. Our fight is not with the enemy. Our fight is with faith. We have to keep applying faith. So we really need to understand the simplicity of the gospel, what faith is, and applying faith within our lives as we're fighting off these spirits and really dying to self in each area. So it's like, until we really die to self in all areas, that spirit's going to have some type of door opening. And if we are not disciplined, that spirit's going to try to come in. It's going to try to destroy you. It's going to try to destroy your friendships. It's going to try to destroy your relationships. It's going to try to destroy your future blessings, which is why you got to be up on this enemy, because this enemy ain't playing around. That means we don't have time to play with him either, y'all. So this is a really important tactic that I want to expose about the Jezebel spirit, y'all. You got to be careful. This is why the word says we have to examine ourselves daily to make sure we're in the faith. This is why we do have to examine our motives. We have to examine our intentions. And if you know that your motives or intentions may not be pure in any area, that's when you really need to sit, evaluate that with the Lord. Ask him to cleanse you, ask him to purge you, ask him to really cleanse your heart, y'all. And just continue to be obedient to the Lord and being careful and not yielding to the spirit, y'all, because the enemy is very provoking. He's going to try to provoke you in some way, shape, or form. So if you find yourself being easily provoked, you got to be careful, y'all, and really submit to the Lord. And it's going to keep happening until you keep dying to self in each area. So each area that spirit is attacking you, you're going to keep getting attacked until you let that go, y'all. And when you let that go, you're going to start seeing more of the results. So I really want to expose that tactic, y'all, because it really happens with a lot of people who are relatively new in the faith, or a lot of people who are still not really, who's, lack knowing the identity, which we're all still learning as time goes on. It really happens with a lot of people who are just unknowing in how the Jezebel spirit works. So, y'all, I do pray that you find this message to be edifying. I will leave some videos in the description settings that goes into more detail about the Jezebel spirit, y'all. I'm talking about my experiences with how that spirit operates. And I thank you all for listening. Much love, peace be with you, and God bless.